A Study in Scarlet, Part 11, The Truth Unveiled. The room at Baker Street seemed to shrink as Holmes fixed his piercing gaze on the cabman. Watson sat silently, the tension thick enough to still even the bustling city sounds beyond the window. Holmes spoke with calm precision, his words carefully chosen, his tone more that of a judge than a detective. "You came to London with more than a trade, my good man," Holmes began. "You carried with you a history, one that stretches across deserts and mountains, driven by devotion and sealed by a vow." The cabman shifted uneasily, his hands tightening on his cap. At first, he tried to laugh it off, but Holmes pressed forward, gently yet relentlessly. Piece by piece, he laid out the evidence: the ring, the advertisement, the anxious behavior, and the connections that led back to Utah and the community that had shaped the cabman's fate. Watson watched in awe as Holmes spoke, not with accusation, but with understanding. He presented the man's life as though reading aloud from a book only Holmes could see. The cabman's defenses crumbled. His shoulders slumped, and his eyes, once guarded, now reflected a weary resignation. Then came the story, told in the man's own voice at last. He spoke of love, of a woman whose spirit had matched his own, and of the promise they had once held together. He spoke of the cruelty of power, of being forced aside by those who valued control over compassion. He described years of waiting, carrying the wound of loss, and nurturing a vow that one day he would set right what had been wronged. Watson listened, moved by the depth of emotion in the man's voice. There was no boast, no triumph, only the heavy burden of memory and the inevitability of choices long delayed. Holmes, ever composed, nodded slowly. "You sought justice where none was offered," he said. "And though your methods may be judged by the law, your heart has spoken the truth of why you acted." For a long moment, silence hung in the room. The cabman seemed both relieved and defeated, as though finally unburdened of a weight too heavy to carry alone. Watson felt a strange sympathy for him, torn between admiration for his loyalty and sorrow for the long road that had led him here. Holmes turned to Watson with quiet finality. "The story, Watson, is complete. What began long ago has found its ending here.